On today's episode of Locked On Wild, roster construction, coaching, or both.
Hey, this is Matt Boldy, and you're listening to Locked On Wild.
Hey, this is Marcus Foligno, and you're listening to Locked On Wild.
You're Locked On Wild, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Wild. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome in to another episode of Locked On Wild, your daily Minnesota Wild podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team each and every day. We thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen each and every day as well. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. Today's episode of Locked On Wild is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. On today's episode of Locked On Wild, Alex Micheletti joins us as we dive in to an uneven 8 games to start the season. Coming off a rough loss against the New Jersey Devils. We'll take a look at what's the biggest issue here. Is it coaching? Is it roster construction? Is it both? We'll also take a look at the impact that players out of the lineup are having on the lack of scoring. And we'll also take a look at why you can't just assume you're going to beat the same teams again this year. Oh, boy. My name is Seth Toupal, host of Locked On Wild, credentialed media member, bringing you credentialed access to the Minnesota Wild this season once again. And we're joined by Alex Micheletti. Alex, schedules have been just... We're bringing you a victory, non-victory Micheletti Thursday because my schedule has just been insane. But hey, we always deliver here at Locked On Wild. Unfortunately for the Minnesota Wild, they did not deliver as they were beaten by the New Jersey Devils. And I kind of had the nerve just broke in the postcast in last night's game because you see the same thing from this roster on a yearly basis. The struggles to score, the games in which you just kind of get pushed around. Like this, it was a New Jersey Devils team that certainly has some size. I wouldn't categorize them as playing with size. I wouldn't characterize them as being physical. And they just pushed the Wild up and down the ice. And so you see that kind of thing happen. That's frustrating. This was a very frustrating end to a pretty bad road trip.
Yeah, you could just see the Devils when they scored. They just had all the confidence in the world. You know, coming off of the back end of a back-to-back, you think they would just be tired, but they wanted to keep their streak going. They've won 6 in a row now, and Jack Hughes was flying out there, and yeah, it seemed like the Wild had no energy, and they should have been the team with the energy because they had the day off before. So that made no sense.
And it's just, you can only say like the competitiveness, the compete level is not where it's supposed to be so many times, I think. And so I wanted to just kind of open-end it to like, what is the issue with this team? I know we have talked previously about the roster construction for this team and what Bill Guerin has put together. And look, Billy certainly deserves criticism and questioning for what he has done with this roster, but it can't just all be that, can it? Like at some point, the coaching just is not getting it done too. Like I don't know as far as percentages go, but it feels like there are certainly fingers that can be pointed to both aspects as far as this team goes.
Yeah, there seems to be a major disconnect between the two, and they can't find any chemistry between lines. It seems like the game plan is hope that the top line scores, but you can't rely on Boldy and Kaprizov to be perfect every single game. That's not sustainable, and that's where they're at right now. And we've talked too where these young guys kind of get discouraged too. You're taking Zeev off power plays and putting Spurgeon there, and it just seems like Hines is relying on veterans more than young guys to play through their struggles, and I know there's a lot of pressure with the condensed schedule here to get on a good start like they did last year, and right now they are not. And some of these up and coming teams are playing really well, like Utah, and even Chicago's winning some games, and so the Central is as tight as it's ever been, and they're gonna have to figure this out soon, or else they could really they could be at the bottom of the Central. No one wants that.
No, you can't have that, as we'll talk about later in the episode, because those teams that are at the bottom, they're not guaranteed wins anymore.
No.
You can't just assume, well, we'll bank those points against those teams. But you look at it too, and the notion that this is a one-line team. Kirill Kaprizov had a shotless night against the New Jersey Devils. He has had 2 of those games this year. Now, in the first game of the season against St. Louis, he was still very active. He had 3 assists in the game, including a power play assist. But you look at it too, and his 5-on-5 play has not been stellar so far this season. But I think a lot of that stems from, if you're game planning against this Minnesota Wild team, who are you throwing all your attention at? It's Kirill Kaprizov, because that's the one player that you can take out of the equation to really slow this team down. And that's where you got to have another line that can step up and do it. And to this point, none of the other line combinations have been able to do so.
And a lot of this is on Bill Guerin too, with the acquiring of Vladimir Tarasenko. He has not filled that second line spot like he envisioned that Vlad would be able to do this, and it looks like he's more of the same from last year from Detroit, and it's a heavy decline. You never know when Father Time's gonna creep up on. It happens, for different ages for players, and it really seems like it's caught up to Tarasenko here. He's been okay on the power play. That's where he's getting his points, but 5-on-5, it's nothing. And that second line, it's it's very easy to defend. Yeah, you know what's coming.
And I think that is exactly why it has been pretty easy, at least in my mind, to point out why this team has struggled at 5-on-5 and why they have had so much success in the power play, is because they get the chance to get set up in the offense. Like, you can't have Vladimir Tarasenko playing quarterback behind the net in regular 5-on-5 play, because you can never get into the zone. Nope. And as far as some of the stats go, like NHL Edge, which I'm trying to use more of as the season gets going, does a good job of kind of taking a look at shot speed, skating, all those things. Here's where Vladimir Tarasenko is at so far this year. Hardest shot registered this season was 78 miles an hour, which is worse than 50th percentile, which is like F. Max skating speed of 21.38 miles an hour, which is worse than 50th percentile, which is an F. And his total skating distance is 18.22 miles, which puts him in the 72nd percentile, which is okay. But even as far as the shots on goal, like you mentioned last year, looking like he was kind of starting to lose it. He's actually shooting at a smaller rate, at a lesser rate this year than he did last year.
And he had 4 minutes of power play time last night, and there was
one shot on goal.
Yeah, how is that even possible? It's mind-boggling when you have that amount of special teams.
And some of the other things not getting to the net, like you look at the average forward compared to Tarasenko's numbers as far as shots on goal go. The average forward by this point has 10 shots on goal, which is what Tarasenko has in 8 games. The average forward, 4 high danger shots on goal. Tarasenko doesn't have any of those. Mid-range, Tarasenko has a 4-3 lead on the average forward. Long range shots, none from there. So it's like it's flybys. It's flybys. This is Marcus Johansson. This is a slower version of Marcus Johansson.
It's a Russian Johansson. With making $4 million. Yeah. Steve Yzerman's got to be, thank you, Bill Guerin, for taking him off my hands.
Yeah, the Detroit Red Wings, by the way, they are 5-2 through the first 7 games of the season. So, just saying. But it is, and again, I'm trying to keep at least like one part of my brain held back, like one defenseman back, so to speak. It is game 8, but again, I can only say that for so long. I can only say it's early for so long before that's just what you are. And whether it be the 10-game mark, whether it be the 20-game mark, at some point, that is just what you are as a team.
And, these injuries keep piling up. They can't stay away from them. And, Al Bogosian, we heard he had a procedure. Who knows what that means in wild terms of how long he could, until he comes back. So, David Jiricek is going to have to play a lot, and we'll see how that goes with his development. He's still trying to become a full-time NHL player, and everybody keeps bringing up Zeev and his struggles, but you need him to play, and he has to be the quarterback of the power play. There's no one else that fills that role, I in my opinion. And you don't want Faber on there just because we need him for other harder minutes out there. And when they switch to Spurgeon, he's not really a shooting threat out there at the quarterback position. So it makes the power play really easy to defend when they switched him to that role.
Yeah, it's tiring because it's just like pick a year, it just tweak a couple of things, and you basically have had the same thing that we are dealing with at this point currently again. Let's do this. Let's break, because I want to talk about the guys that are out, because think about this too. So we're about 2 weeks into the season, which means that if the timeline is correct, you are still 4 weeks minimum from Matt Zuccarello being ready to return. Minimum. Same thing for Nico Sturm. No idea with Bogosian. Like, I want to dive into, like, are these struggles possible for the guys that are out of the lineup? Like, is it really just as simple as no Matt Zuccarello in the top 6? We'll talk about that as we continue today's episode of Locked On Wild after this. Today's episode of Locked On Wild is brought to you by Rugiet. Let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've heard them all before. It's just stress, I'm tired, or it happens to everybody sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support, and that's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rugiet makes it easy to get started. You just connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online. No awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. Visit rugiet.com/lockedonnhl to get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/lockedonnhl. And don't forget to use our code LOCKEDONNHL so they know we sent you. Rugiet. Stop making excuses and start making moves. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season rolls along, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. New strategy today. Minnesota Vikings taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. The Vikings are 3.5-point underdogs. I don't think that number is high enough based off of how they've played lately. Here's a new strategy. Your $5 bet, first half under. First half under. We're trying it. We're doing it. If that works, you get $300 in bonus bets to put on Matt Boldy winning the Hart Trophy. Trust me, when that cashes, you're going to be able to buy an island. So just make sure that you head to FanDuel.com to visit the FanDuel app and get started. Welcome back to today's episode of Locked On Wild. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen each and every day. Make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms. And if you feel like throwing us a review, if it's nice, we'll make sure to read it on the air. So if you feel like sending us a 5-star or whatever sort of a review, we'll make sure to give you a shout out on the show. And YouTube now up to 3672 as far as subscribers go. Thank you very much. Alex, let's talk about this because we got the main ones are Matt Zuccarello, Nico Sturm, Zach Bogosian. Those are the main injuries for the Minnesota Wild right now. Are these 5-on-5 struggles? Is it really as simple as Matt Zuccarello not being in the lineup?
I don't think so. He's not much of a goal scorer at this stage of his career. He's more of a playmaker, best buddies with Kirill, Kaprizov, that chemistry between the two. But he hit him at what, 38? It's not going to solve the 5-on-5. And Nico Sturm, what are you going to get out of him coming out of back surgery?
Yeah.
Even if he's back, no pun intended, but you can't rely on him to be fully healthy. Anytime you go underneath the knife for a back problem, that those tend to linger even when you're back.
The more fun question to ask, and I feel like we're really like I apologize for really taking the train to negative town, but when those guys come back, who's coming out of the lineup? Who's going down to Iowa? Because once Matt Zuccarello comes back, that one of those top 6 spots is certainly going to be up for grabs again. And I would imagine that just means Marcus Johansson will slot lower in the lineup. Because let's be honest, he's not coming out of the lineup at this point. He's going to play the entire season.
He's a fixture.
He is not coming out of the lineup because John Hines can't help himself. He is not coming out of the lineup. So he's going to go down to the third line, maybe, depending on how Vladimir Tarasenko does.
Yeah, you got two issues there on that line. It's not just one; it's 2 issues. How are you going to fix 2 issues?
And when Sturm comes back, Danil Yurov has been centering the fourth line. I would like to think that Yurov stays in the lineup at this point, but you don't know. We don't know at this point.
Well, the young guys they've been played around with. I mean, poor Hunter Haight. I was talking to you off air earlier today. It's like they're messing with him. He's going back to Iowa. He's back here. He's flying. He's going to earn some miles all over what he's having to endure.
I just don't. And look, I'm not trying to suggest that the young guys have not had hiccups, because I think we would all point to, yeah, they've had rough games, but that's part of the process. I hope that it's not a situation that the Minnesota Wild thought, that the front office thought, that Bill Guerin thought, that John Hines thought. I hope it's not a situation where they thought those guys were going to be perfect after training camp and now are so panicked because they're not, that they just don't know what to do with the lineup. And
you can't, the main issue with this is, okay, you send them to Iowa. Iowa's even worse.
Yeah,
Iowa. That's I don't know what is going on with that part of the organization, but there are some even bigger issues down there than with the big club.
Yeah, the last I had looked at the Iowa Wild, they They were 0-4. They had been outscored 20-6. Now, I'm going to pull up the standings here right now so that we can verify that that is accurate. But they've been they have been in an equally bad spot to where they've been the last few seasons, which again goes right back to the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who the head coach is, right? It's crazy.
The Iowa Wild are still 0-4, and they have been outscored 20-6 on the season. They have 76 penalty minutes.
That yeah, I mean, there's no way you're going to have success with that high already. It's 4 games in. That's nuts. And you send them to Iowa, and that's even a worse environment for them to be in. You'd rather have them learn from their mistakes at the big club than where it's just an utter cesspool down there in Iowa right now.
So Samuel Levi and Cal Peterson have both started 2 games. They've both given up 9 goals. So there have been 2 empty net goals against the Iowa Wild. Levi has a 4.52 goals against average. Cal Peterson has a 4.58. 855 save percentage for Levi, 824 for Cal Peterson.
That's preposterous to have both of them be that bad.
Hey, how about a bright spot so far this year? Jesper Wallstedt. And
yes,
he's like low key. You talk about what we've seen from the youngsters so far this year. He's got nobody pressing him.
no,
And those backup starts, as long as he's healthy, those backup starts are his.
he's entertaining too, right? I mean,
yeah.
the celebration after he beat the Kings, that was awesome. I mean, he was unbelievable in that overtime too, having to deal with the power play and after giving up that lead to just hang on and get that win was, I'm sure, just a giant relief for him too. And hopefully that continues to give him confidence.
Big ups for his psyche, to say the least. Let's take our final break. When we come back, there are always games that you can just count on banking points in, right? Like the Sharks are coming up. The Blackhawks are coming up. The Mammoth are coming up. I wouldn't count on those banked points if I was the Minnesota Wild, because it turns out all of those teams are progressing in the right direction. We'll talk about that to finish today's episode after this. Today's episode of Locked On Wild is brought to you by Game Time. Hockey season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. Let's be real, though. Getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your favorite team. That's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. My favorite part about Game Time is the fact that ticket prices actually go down the closer you get to puck drop. You could get tickets the day of for the Minnesota Wild. You're going to find some great deals. And with 2 games this weekend, perfect opportunity if you want to go see some of the exciting players on either the Mammoth or the Sharks pot a bunch of goals. You can get that at Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Final segment of today's episode of Locked On Wild. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On Wild your first listen each and every day. No post. We'll see on Saturday. Like I said, I have a football game on the road on Saturday that starts at 3. So it should be done about 5:30 or so. Get back about 6:30, 7 o'clock. So we'll see what the score is like, but we'll definitely do one on Sunday. So Just trying to be transparent about the postcast schedule. And I think it makes it easier for me too as host, because I'm not feeling like I have to go crazy to do every one. We're going to hit as many as we can, but there will be some nights that it's just not feasible. So we'll definitely plan for Sunday. We'll see on Saturday. Alex, the Minnesota Wild are back at home for a lengthy homestand, and they'll take on the likes of Utah, San Jose, Winnipeg, Pittsburgh, Vancouver, Nashville. Should be automatic points against Utah, San Jose, Pittsburgh, and Nashville, and Vancouver, because all those teams they've been bad the last couple of years, and so that automatically means that they're going to be bad again this year. Wrong. The Utah Mammoth are near the top of the list as far as the Central Division goes this year. The Pittsburgh Penguins, we all thought were going to be hideously bad. They're 5-2. The Vancouver Canucks are 4-3. They're in second place in the Pacific. The San Jose Sharks have two of the most exciting players in the league. They haven't won a game yet, but they still have some of the most exciting players in the NHL. You can't just assume that you're going to be able to beat these teams that you beat in the past because you beat them before. The NHL doesn't work that way.
No, there's a lot of young, exciting talent in the league now that doesn't care what happened in the past. They're going out there and playing free. And, like you said, they're really exciting players. It's amazing how young the league has gotten over the past couple of years. I think teams are trying to utilize their cap space in a way where they can get a lot out of cheap contracts and still pay some of their top end guys a lot more money, and then you have the entry level deals to kind of fill the coffers of the cap. And it's exciting to watch. And there's a lot more new talent, and as far as goalies too that are stepping up to the plate as well. And so it's just a different league. Teams are tired of being just at the bottom. So it's nice that teams are actually trying to win instead of just tanking all the time. So it's a good time to be an NHL fan.
Yeah, some teams are trying to win. Some others are, even the Buffalo Sabres, they got off to a horrible start. They're 3-4 now. Like, teams figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can't just... this is part of what went into not being able to swing a trade in the offseason, is because pretty much all the teams were like, well, we kind of want to wait and see. We kind of want to wait and see before we just give away one of our best players. And now you're in a position where, I know I talked with Jesse Pierce about, Bill Guerin's going to probably have to make a trade here at some point to try to ignite this. There's nobody to trade with right now.
Right.
Everybody's within the range of still being in it or having it be too early, to where unless you grossly overpay, it's not happening right now. You're probably at least another month out from that being a possibility.
Yeah, and with this condensed schedule, no one wants to make a trade. It just, games are flying left and going left and right, and injuries are piling up for teams too. So it makes trades even harder right now. That that rumor for Panarin's always going to be out there, but I think it would take a ton for the Rangers to give him up right now.
Yeah, I feel like Rossi would be an ask.
Yeah, they're going to want an up and coming stud that's NHL ready for sure.
Yeah, because that's the other part of it. Yes, you have the assets, but you got to be willing to give something up to get something in return. And you can't just Band-Aid this with a Ryan Reeves acquisition again. You look at some of the acquisitions that Bill Guerin has made during the season to try to ignite everything. Bringing Ryan Reeves in, and I know, yes, it worked. They stabilized, but that's what that's what this team needs, is they need to be able to score. You can't out physical your way out of this. It's a scoring league. 90% of the other teams in the league can score. You got to get with the times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that Devils game last night, I mean, the Devils looked like they were on another level compared to the Wild for a majority of that game, and it's just tough when the Devils were on the back end of a back-to-back. You see it all the time where teams that have the rest take so much advantage of that, and they were just getting out beaten to the puck a majority of that game.
Wait, I barely mentioned this last night, but it wasn't like Jacob Markstrom or Jake Allen started. Nico Dawes made his first start of the season. First start of the season last night against the Wild, and he stopped 29 to 30 shots. For a guy who had started 47 career games in the NHL. Markstrom, Allen, they were not in. It was Nico Dawes. They made Nico Dawes look like Martin Brodeur.
Yeah, we see it all the time that this team makes AHL level goalies look like a Vezina trophy winner. It's so mind boggling. They didn't really test them a whole lot. I mean, the goal by Boldy was beautiful, but other than that, it was pretty minimal. And a lot of perimeter.
And let's give props to sign off here tonight. Matt Boldy he's upped it to a previously unseen level. Like he's been engaged every game. He has one game this year in which he has not registered at least a point. But all the numbers, like you talk about, I looked at the stats for Vladimir Tarasenko from NHL Edge. Matt Boldy is shooting the puck harder than he ever has. He's moving around more than he ever has. Like, listen to his numbers here. Matt Boldy's hardest shot this year was 87.6 miles an hour, 91st percentile. So that means he's better than 91% of the league in that category. Total skating distance, 26.22 miles, better than 99% of the league. Now, his max skating speed, he's never been a fast guy, but his numbers, like average forward this year to this point, 10 shots on goal. Matt Boldy has 34. 4 high danger shots on goal. Matt Boldy has 13. Mid-range shots, 3. Matt Boldy has 8. Long-range shots, 1 for the average forward. Matt Boldy has 6. All of his numbers are up so far this year, which means that what we saw in the playoffs last year has continued over to this season.
It's amazing, right? He's riding that high from the playoff series versus Vegas, and took that into having a great summer, and he wants to be into that superstar level, and he's off to a great start. And people have always nagged him for his consistency. Well, he's on fire to begin this stretch, and is becoming a really vocal leader. You hear him after the game saying he has faith in this group, and so yeah, we'll see if others can step up to the plate like he is, and he has one heck of a shot, and he's showing it like he did last night against that Devils group.
And we'll hope it continues, but no shortage of things to talk about with this team ever. Coming up later tonight, we've got our power rankings. Was going to get to that last night, but I'll be completely honest, I was out after the postcast. So we'll get to that here tonight while the Vikings game is going on. We'll have it set for you after that game is finished. And then we got a couple episodes coming for you tomorrow as well. We're back on track. We're rolling. We're into the season. And even though the results have been subpar, Locked On Wild is far from that. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. We got you covered every Monday through Friday as part of the Locked On Podcast Network.